Okay, so I wanted to share with you my 1099 friendly budget. So I have had budgets in the past that have been super, super helpful, and I've had to modify them to work for me. I am in real estate and I am commission based, but my husband is W-2 based. So that just causes a lot of issues sometimes when it comes to budgeting and finding a budget that works well and keeping track of money put aside for taxes and money that's not necessarily guaranteed and tracking, all these different metrics and numbers. And so I wanted to put together something that was truly going to be helpful, especially for people that maybe have multiple incomes in one household and they're different kinds of incomes. So I'm going to walk you through um, basically just how I put this together to help you. So there are multiple different sheets at the bottom that you're going to see here. You're going to start on the overall summary page. And basically, this is going to be your snapshot for budget versus actual numbers. We're going to be looking at income, expenses, savings, tax savings, just savings over a year period in all of your accounts. So you're going to be able to see all of that here. And you're not ever going to change any of the numbers on this page here. A lot of these cells in the spreadsheet are functioned and it's designed that way to be less work for you. So you should just be able to enter in numbers in specific places. I will show you where, and it's going to come back and edit all of these cells for you and put those calculations in for you so you don't have to worry about it. So we can come back to this after we've entered in some data. You can see it's not really showing very much simply because I don't have any data in the budgets yet. So I will show you how to do that, but you see you've got total income. So this is showing how much income you've earned month over month and how much for the year thus far. Same for expenses. How much have you budgeted to spend and how much did you actually spend? How much did you save versus actually save? And I created two different buckets here just because I don't want to consider my tax savings my actual savings. So they're two completely different things. Tax savings in my head is already spent money. It's already money that has to go back at tax season. It's in a high yield savings account and that's where I keep it until I have to pay the government. But I don't want to calculate that in with my regular savings. So I did create those as two separate items. And then if you go back over to the top here, you have your monthly, your averages. So your monthly income average, this is what you make on average every month, what you spend every month on average, how much you save every month on average, and savings as well. And this is how much you've made year to date, spent, put in savings, etc. And then these are charts to show that as well. These are not accurate reflections, again, because the data is not entered in. So we're going to go through that. So let's go to our yearly income summary. So from here, I put a little note. You're not going to edit any of the cells that are in this color. So if you look at income sources, I made these editable because those titles might change for you. So if it wasn't income number 2, it was maybe like investment income or rental property income, you could put that in here. Let's see. So then you've got your goals up here. So you can obviously change what your goals are. This is not going to connect into any other formula, but you can obviously come and put how much you want to make this year, how much you want to save, how much you don't want to be spending or your budget for spending. This is pulling from income from 1099 work. So what's helpful, because you normally have business expenses and taxes that you're taking out, it's good to know, like, okay, well, how much I might be making $100,000 this year, but is that truly how much money I have in my pocket? The answer is no. So how much money do I have? And that's going to be this number, which is your net income. Projected. So let's say I made $10,000 the last 3 months. If I follow that trajectory, I'm going to make $10,000 every month for the year, right? So then this would calculate that based off of that number. what this number is calculating it off of is the average that I've made every month this year thus far, which is 12,100. So to give you an idea, this is 12,100 times 12. So it's going to take the average of how much I've made every month. So it's going to get more and more accurate with every month that passes. Okay. So this is kind of just for funsies. It's not a hard and fast number there. And then if you want to put in your income goals over here, so here's how much money I'd like to make from my business or from real estate or 1099. And here's how much I'd like combined as a household. And then your actual number here too. Again, you're not going to change these numbers, but you can enter in how much you'd like to make here. Okay. Moving on. So these are all pulling from the other spreadsheets. So this is pulling from January's income, and it's going to do that for every month. For your each individual incomes here, you're gonna have to enter it in. So for January, I know I budgeted for this much, I actually need this much, and do that for each of them. That's what's going to filter into here. So this, for the pending income, that is able to be pulled from your January spending. But for each individual, if you want to track like where each individual income is coming from, you'll just have to enter that in here. Okay. These two charts here, this is going to give you a visual for where all your money is coming from. So because the only income that we have logged right now is 1099 income, it's just showing all 1099. But if we had some other ones in here, it would show you other pieces of the pie, right? So where else that income is coming from, or are we anticipating it coming from, and how much did we actually get? And then as long as you entered in your goals up here, it's going to tell you your goal versus how much you've actually made, okay? So that's just your income summary page. You may or may not use this a ton, but most of it is, you know, if you like the very detailed numbers like myself, you're gonna love this page. But if you're not into all that, you just want a general idea of how much y'all are making, that's gonna be this page here, okay? Next is very important. So this is your budgeting categories. So you're going to want to come in here and enter in every category that you want to appear in a drop down for your budget. Let me show you what I mean. So if I go into January here, and I'm looking at my expenses, if I hit this drop down button, I can select any of these categories here to budget for. So they're only going to show up here if I've included it here. Okay, it's very important to enter it in, because if I were to just go ahead and type a random category in here that didn't exist, when I track my expense, it's not going to pull over to my budget and tell me how much I have remaining or how much I've spent. It's not going to synchronize like that. So you have to make sure all your budgets are in here, or your categories are in here. I've gone ahead and added pretty generic ones that you can take out. You can add or change as many of these as you want to, but it has to stay within this border. So don't go outside of the border. Same with income. So if you wanted to come in and change income number 2, so investments, you could do that. And then once you changed it, let me show you. So if I changed investment and then came over to my income drop down, it's now going to show up there. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to come back and put that back there. Same thing with savings category. So maybe instead of savings account, you went high yield savings account. Maybe you want 401k, you know, whatever, retirement fund, whatever you want to put in your savings account, that's totally fine. Okay. So once you have all this taken care of, you're ready to move forward towards your budgeting. So same deal, a lot of these cells are protected. So if you're about to change a cell that should not be changed, you are going to get a warning message saying, hey, this is not supposed to be changed in accident. So please make sure you know what you're doing before you do it, because once you change it, Excel and Sheets is really hard to go back and find out what your mistake was. So I don't want you to mess something up for yourself. Okay, so you're not going to change any of these numbers here, anything that I've grayed out like this. You'll see some of these have little notes in the corner. Okay, so if you're confused, check and see if there's a note. It might tell you where that data is coming from so you can know what you're looking for. So let's say I'm going to my budget. You're going to want to start in your income. So how much income are you anticipating this month? Okay. Obviously, if you're budgeting at the beginning of the month, you're not going to have your actual numbers in there. So let's say it's the beginning of the month and we are just going to say, I know I have a contract that's closing this month. I'm anticipating this much money from it. My W-2 income that's coming in, I'm anticipating this much. If you wanted to break this up into 2 paychecks, instead of calling it W-2, you want to call it paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, you can do that as well, okay? However floats your boat for this, that's how you do it. All right, so right now we are budgeting with $17,200. Okay, so this is our monthly budget. So from there, I'm going to want to come down to my expenses. So I'm not going to bore you by going through every single expense that I have. But here I budgeted, let's not, let's say we're budgeting $75 for business expenses. Okay. What's really cool is this is conditionally formatted. So if I am less than $30 in that budget, it's going to turn orange so that I know that that's on my radar, not to spend more than what I have left in that budget. If it is under, I think if it's under $15, it's going to go down to red. Okay. Otherwise, you should not be changing these boxes here. They're auto-calculated to tell you how much you have left. So let me show you. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and track that I paid my rent already, and I was anticipating $2,000 for my rent. So I go to my bank account, I see that I have that. I'm going to go to my drop down, select rent. My description doesn't really need to be anything different than rent. And I paid $2,000 for that. Once this has been added here, since I have associated it with the rent category, when I scroll back down here, it's going to show that $2,000 has been spent of my $2,000 budget, and therefore I have $0 left. So as long as you have the category written here, when you put the category over here, along with the transaction, it will correspond over here. And I've left plenty of room for lots of transactions throughout the month. So you should be good on that front. And basically, I've also added in some, let's say we budgeted all the expenses for kicks and giggles, right? Obviously, a real person's going to have a lot more to budget for than just rent, electric, and their phone bill. But let's say that that was all they needed and their total expenses for the month were $2,000. That means that we have a remainder balance of $11,065 to budget for. So from that, you're going to put in your tax money, okay? So, or I'm sorry, from this number, I'm going to put the remaining into my savings, okay? So let's say we're going to do 3,600. So that is how much our tax savings is estimated to be, going off of a 30% savings number. And then the rest of it, I can take that $11,500 and now I am at a $0 budget. Okay, so that's how I like to budget. I want every dollar to be planned for. If you use Every Dollar by Dave Ramsey, that's kind of what I learned how to budget off of. So I really like that idea of doing things. So I just want to make sure every dollar is accounted for. You can split that up however you want to, but now you know where it is. And once that money's been transferred from whatever account it goes into, and you know exactly how much has been saved, you can go ahead and put the actual number in there. Okay. There is one piece that I want to show you if you are working off of a deal or some kind of commissions or something of that nature in real estate. So you can edit this how you need to. But the calculation for pending income, so the number that gets put into this top value here, and this closed value here is pulling from this table. Okay, so every month is going to have its own table. So let's say I close the house on 123 Main Street, and that house was valued at $500,000. My commission I'm collecting is this much. This is my brokerage split. And then I'm collecting maybe an admin fee or some kind of fee. You can put 0 on here if you need to. This is how much I'm expecting to receive at closing. Okay. So if it's just under contract, I'm going to leave it like this because that money's not solid yet, right? It's just money I'm anticipating. So if I look back at this chart, it's showing that I have not made that money yet. So once I come back over and I type that in, that's kind of like me confirming, okay, I received that money, it's closed, it's in my hands. So that's going to come here. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much your budgeting page. And then once you make all the adjustments and as you fill this out, your income summary and your yearly summary page are really going to start to fill out. And it's going to give you so much insight on where your money is going. So I'm really excited for you guys to start using this.